Good evening, everyone. I'm Frank Novak, and this is the candidate edition of Point of Reference. Tonight, we give you a brief introduction to each candidate running for office in Haverhill's 2025 elections, incumbents as well as newcomers, in an effort to get you to know them a little better, to help you decide who to vote for on Election Day, Tuesday, November 4th. We are very proud most of the candidates took us up on our invitation. 29 out of 31 agreed to participate over a 3-day period. For those that found it difficult to attend, we even provided remote access too. For those that decided not to partake, we wish them well. This year, we also solicited questions from you, the viewers, and we used them in an effort to make you part of the process as well. While HC Media and Haverhill Community Television are unable to run events such as these candidate interviews and 1-minute messages themselves, I am very pleased that they've allowed me to do my own independent program, lending their technical talent and expertise as support in producing a very professional product that could be held up as an example for other communities to follow. In Ward 4, we'll hear from City Council candidates Melissa Lewandowski and Guy Cooper, along with an unopposed school committee newcomer, Amanda Basilier. We're very pleased to be talking with Melissa Lewandowski, who's running for City Council in Ward 4. Welcome to the program, Melissa.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this again.
Well, my pleasure. You know, you seem to be this is your third term you're running for, no?
Yes, it would be. Yes.
Third term, and you're continuing the dynasty from your father, I guess, from when your father happened to be, it was on the school committee for eons.
20 eons, yeah. It seemed like that, about 20-something years, close to.
So this is where I'm able to say the apple does not fall far from the tree, I guess it is, right?
Well, I hope that that's true. My father was valued for his common sense and his fact-based analysis and just being an authentic and compassionate person, and I hope to follow in those footsteps.
And he's passed that along to you, it would seem.
I thank you very much.
You know, and that being the case, you're an attorney.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Do you bring a special set of skill sets, I would imagine you think, to your particular job on the city council?
Yes.
Can you point to some of the things during your tenure as being on city council that you could point to as successes that are high up on the list? I mean, you maybe have a myriad of things that you've been involved with,
Sure.
But what are the things that come to mind that are at the top of the list, do you think?
Well, just to start by saying that I do think that being an attorney and also being the kind of attorney that I am, which is a litigation attorney, so I'm in court, I try cases, I started out as a prosecutor and then I went into private practice. The area that I deal with is child welfare law, so neglect and abuse cases. So not only do I know the law and am able to look at something and determine whether or not it's going to pass muster in that regard, I also, have a very comprehensive knowledge of social services, and I'm used to dealing with people and situations that aren't necessarily comfortable, right? And being able to sit there with them and have a presence for them and offer solutions. I've never shied away from difficult conversations, whether it be in my professional life as an attorney or on the city council. So I do bring that. In terms of some of the most recent things, one of the things that, if people tune in, that I'm very proud of is that I advanced a measure on the agenda and it has now passed. We rewrote our ordinance on door-to-door solicitation. So I saw that in the city that our ordinance was pretty broad in terms of what it allowed. It allowed a lot of hours that door-to-door solicitors could go, I think till about 8 o'clock in the evening or maybe even 9. There wasn't any restriction on days of the week that they could go. And the fine was lower than I thought it should be. In my ward, I was talking to constituents, as I do, and they were complaining, as they should, because, it is an invasion of privacy. Now, of course, legally, that invasion of privacy bumps up against the First Amendment right for commercial speech, which is what door-to-door solicitation is. So unfortunately, we can't get rid of it altogether. But when I looked at it and I researched it further, I said, well, there is something that we can do. We can mitigate the impact on our residents. How can we do that? And so what we did and what I proposed and what passed is we reduced the hours that door-to-door solicitors can go to residents' homes. We increased the fine from $300 to $500. We talked to the police about making sure that they give that do not knock registry information to folks as well as to the people that are going door to door, that those people are then encouraged residents, if people are not following that do not knock registry, or even if you have a no solicitor sign, to call the police and to follow up, and they will send someone out. We reduce the hours that they can do it. We increase the fine. I'm very happy with that. And I'm going to continue to communicate with my constituents and let them know that there is a path for them to reduce that intrusion. Can I
ask you, how would the person that's soliciting, that's going door to door in your ward, and this is not only for Ward 4, but this is for the entire city.
Correct, yeah.
So if that's the case, how would they know what the restrictions are? Do they normally have to, if they're going door to door, do they normally have to get a permit or something? Or
They do. They do indeed. Yes. So per the law, they have to register with the police department, and they have to fill out forms. They have to undergo a query check. Some people would not be able to, solicit if in fact something came up in their background that was something that was of concern to the police, because it's in the discretion of the police department in order to issue these permits or not. And then at that time, they would be advised of the do not knock registry, and also that they have to display, where they're from, what company, and so forth. So they're given that information when they go in for their permit by the police.
That's an example of your being able to advocate for not only the people, your constituency in Ward 4, but also for your constituents citywide.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm curious, as you're saying this, and you're saying when people go door to door, and I'm thinking to myself, I know for a fact that when people are running for office, they'll tell me they're exhibiting, exercising a lot of shoe leather and doing a lot of door knocking. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, as you're saying this, I'm wondering, does it apply to people that are running for office?
It does not. There are exemptions for religious and political.
Okay, good. So, I'm glad you did that.
Yeah,
because otherwise you would have painted yourself in a corner.
Right. No, and that's a big part of it, is going out and meeting people and getting that, face to face with constituents. That's a part of campaigning that I love, actually, because you get a lot of new information about what people are looking for. You get pushback when it's warranted, which I also like. I like the responsibility of that.
Can you tell me what's some of the pushback that you've received from feedback from constituents? Because sometimes every vote that the city council happens to take may not be received affirmatively by everybody.
Sure.
But what sort of pushback have you received?
I think, the general concerns are the same concerns that I have. And I think that, that's why it's so important to be able to go out and during a campaign, and not even during a campaign, I do it the entire time that I'm in office, go out and meet people and see what their concerns are. The concerns are, taxes, the preservation of open space, the impact of development on infrastructure. These are the things that are the housing. Obviously, is a conversation that's been going on for a long time, and how to balance making sure that people can afford to stay in the city with not continuing to burden our infrastructure, our land, our systems like water and so forth. Those are all the things that I share as concerns as well. So hearing that from people and being able to get into real conversations with them about what's possible, some ideas that we might have that are the same. Maybe we don't agree on everything. Maybe we do.
That's fair.
That's part of it.
Can I ask you this relative to the tax issue? And I know that people are have eyeballed and have received the largest tax increase in that's ever been done in the history of the city, and part of it is hand in hand with the Constantino School override, I guess. Okay, right. You take that into account. Were you in favor of the Constantino School override? I
was in favor of building Constantino. Okay. And it was going to happen one way or the other, was the way it was proposed to us by the former mayor.
I get it. And the question I've got is that there were supposed to be monies that were set aside by the previous administration, the former mayor, that said, this is the money that we can go ahead and utilize. As I understand it, tell me if I'm wrong, that we can use for the Constantino School. So they won't necessitate an override. The other consensus was, no, we do need an override. And interestingly, they went ahead and had a special vote on that maybe 2 months before the normal election, which was a sort of a targeted political strategy to get something of that type passed. My question would be, given the challenges that you're going to be foreseeing in the future, in the next administration, or the next what I'm talking about, the next term, what happened to the money that was set aside that the former mayor had in place to go for the Constantino School? Can any of that, is that saved? Is it in a lockbox? Is that maybe set aside for the John Whittier School, which was going to need to be replaced at some time in the very near future on Concord Street?
Right.
I mean, the question is, because people are saying there are going to be major challenges with federal and state cutbacks in the next term in 2026. And if that's the case, you got to kind of stretch the dollar as far as you can. And I'm asking the question because sometimes the answers I'm getting are not that clear. So did that money go into the general fund for other expenses, or did it get set aside? I mean, can you enlighten us on that for what you think the situation is or what you think it should be?
Well, what I think it should be is that there should be a tax break for residents going forward. What I think has happened, unfortunately, is that, we had the debt exclusion for Constantino that took up, I think, $111 of the tax increase. And then you have the collective bargaining agreement that was settled with the fire department. And then you have the ESP contracts. All these things are going to become due, right? Now, the debt exclusion will eventually run out. So that's going to be off the ledger. And we'll have a new school. But the other things are going to become due. So how much money do we have in the coffers, like you say? Yeah. I wish I could give you an answer.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not so clear even to us, Frank.
Okay.
And that is a transparent answer. That said, my hope going forward, and I mentioned this during budget season, is that, and I think I asked specifically for some performance standard reviews, audit, if you want to call it so forth, of certain departments and spending, whether they be the capital spending that we do. The departments did a good job at reducing some of their line items, but it certainly wasn't enough to make a break for people who want to afford to stay in the city and feel that they can. So being able to look at those and audit those departments, whether it be auditing, our legal department, looking at our health insurance, where we can cut certain things, and saying, okay, well, can we do that? I think that that's a necessary next step, because these things are coming due, and putting it on the backs of the taxpayers is not a sustainable option.
It's all in the math.
It's in the math.
That has to be the last word, but I wish you well in your slogan, doing more in Ward 4.
There you go.
Hey, so I wish you the best of luck in that. Thank you very much, Melissa Lewandowski, for being here today. We wish you the best of luck in the upcoming election.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Guy Cooper is running for city council in the Ward 4 district, and he's with us now this evening to be able to tell us about his campaign. Welcome to the program, Guy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Frank.
You decided to run for city council. You live in Ward 4. You were a mayoral candidate in the previous election, and you decided to run for city council this time around. Tell us why.
Well, when initially I ran for mayor in 2021, and then again I ran again in 2023. I had just retired from the Haverhill Police Department in 23. We came up to the final election, and Mayor Barrett beat me out on that. And I heard from a lot of people, and a lot of the voters would say, they liked everything I had to say. They liked the platform I had. The only problem that they were saying that they had was I just didn't have enough political experience. So I listened to what they had to say, and I said, well, there's got to be somewhere to start, so I will start at the city council level. And I made it the Ward 4 level just due to the fact of I live in Ward 4, and I pretty much lived in Ward 4 most of my life.
Do you think, are there any particular factors affecting Ward 4 that more so than other areas of the city that you think people should pay attention to? That you want people to pay more attention to, or you want to bring to the forefront to have resolved, maybe that haven't been attended to in the past?
Well, Ward 4 is for our city, and this is from my perspective, and I think a lot of other people could say the same. It's more of our country. It's where we have a lot of farmland. We have a lot of open space there, and it's pretty much been I would like to think the the same population. People have lived there for years and years and years. And I'd like to keep Ward 4 as the open country area. It is a very large ward, square mile wise.
Could you define for us where Ward 4 is? Because I know that the City of Haverhill, the engineering department, they're an excellent group, and they're giving me as large a map as is humanly possible of all the wards that we're going to try to implement in the course of this program and subsequent programs. But the thing is, a lot of people don't know which ward they're in. And Ward 4 is a big ward, takes into account, large area. Could you give us like some definitions or landmarks or streets that maybe along those borders that people will know?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do the best I can. It is a very big ward. So Ward 4 covers, we'll use the term, if you're from Haverhill, the Riverside area.
Yeah.
And I'd say the Riverside area covers pretty much up Water Street, where the old Schwindealer was, up Mill Street.
Right.
If you circle that around up Concord Street, all the way down Amesbury Road, all the way down Canosa Ave, Amesbury Road, and then into the East Broadway area, covers up a little bit up 108, I believe. It's a very the college, all in that area.
Wow.
It's a very
Expansive.
big area. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate your defining that. You were talking about being open space, and you think many people would like to keep it that way. So
Yeah, and it's just that's our country area. When I've had relatives come up from out of state, and I show them the downtown area, and then we just go a mile and a half down the road, and they're shocked of the difference of how Haverhill is down in the farmland area.
what do you think you'd like to do as maybe your first official act or initiative if you're elected to Haverhill City Council that you would like to put forth before other councilors for consideration, whether that be for Ward 4 or for the city? Because as a city councilor, you carry an equal vote along with councilors at large that impact the entire city as well. So do you have an idea or two that you'd like to put forth that you'd like to have your colleagues consider?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Frank.
Sure.
Just being a Ward 4 city council doesn't just restrict you in just
That's
the Ward
correct.
4.
Yep.
It's just that you become a voice for the people in Ward 4. But you do have the same weight as all other city councilors do on city projects. The first thing I'd like to do is wrap around and stop with the taxes. The tax increase every time it seems to come up with a budget is just going higher and higher, and I know a lot of people have been very concerned about it. I think that we could pretty much narrow down what our spending is. Secondly, they're concerned of their water bill, especially now that we have a water drought, and also for affordable housing. There's been a lot of talk about affordable housing, and a lot of the new housing projects that are going in are not very affordable for people. They're very high in rents. And the other big aspect for the city is our schools, and I'd like to see some help with the schools we have. In Ward 4, I'd love to be able. Whittier Tech has been coming up for a new rebuild or at least a revamp, and I do believe Haverhill is pretty solid that we should keep a technical school in the city and a trade school, anyways. That where the trades are going to be lost if we don't start training people to take over. And who's going to fix your water heater when it goes down or wire your house?
You can only do so much with YouTube, right?
Yes. And it gets kind of dangerous when you do some of that stuff.
Of all those things that you happen to mention, any particular thing that you'd like to refine, or do you want to put in front of your colleagues and say, this is what I think we should attack first, and this is the reason why?
Well, I think the first thing is, I've been saying this for years now, the growth of the city is becoming more than what the city can handle and what our infrastructure can handle. I think we're growing too fast, and we're starting to have to look for money and ways out to try to figure out why. And I'd like to see growth, but growth with a purpose. In the long run, growth with a purpose. If something's going up, we got to realize what the actual impact is going to be for the community or for the area where it may go. Ward 4, for example, if they decide to put something there, the impact for that neighborhood, the area, and then the impact it'll have on the city.
Okay. I've got to ask you this question because we've also taken questions from the audience. We ran a commercial inviting the audience to participate and send us in or give us a call on what some of the questions are. And now, since you happen to be in Ward 4, you have a lot of farmlands out there. One question we got was, what do you plan to do to help people that are in agriculture or farmers specifically? Do you have a particular idea that you'd like to bring forth to help them? Because farmers are part of your constituency particularly. Well,
number one thing, the farmers, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have our food. We wouldn't have, our land. We have some very beautiful farms, and not just in Ward 4. We have a bunch of beautiful farms throughout the city. Mm-hmm. But in Ward 4, I would do everything I can to keep that farm as functional as a farm and a working farm, and try to give the farmers of the land the best opportunities that they can have in the city without too much being too stringent on them and being too lean against them where they can't do certain things, but to not bring up particulars, but to, if farmers need to make money on mm-hmm. top of, because that's the business, they farm to make money so they can keep the farm moving. And I think that we should give them a little bit more closer look so we can help them and whatever they need to do, that we can help with either permitting or certain functions that they want to do, that we can make it a little easier and make it a little more streamlined for them to get the proper things that they can do.
Lake Saltonstall is in your jurisdiction, Ward 4, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Why isn't it called Lake Saltonstall?
That's a good question. I don't have that answer why they don't call it Lake Saltonstall.
Would you prefer to see it referred to as Plug Pond or Lake Saltonstall?
Well, let's put it this way. When I was about 11 years old, that was kind of where we used to go as kids.
I get it.
And we would boat in there, and it was always known to me as Plug's Pond.
Yep.
And to be called Lake Saltonstall, I like the name. I've always liked the name.
I think it elevates the community more so than what it's known by.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the old Plug's Pond probably could have some bad issues there with the plugs, but the Saltonstall, it seems a little bit more prestigious to call.
Well, that's fine. The fact is we're coming up on time, and Guy, we wish you the best of luck in your endeavors in Ward 4 as City Councilor for the City of Haverhill.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We appreciate you being here this evening.
Thanks for having me, Frank.
Thank you. We are talking with Amanda Basilier, who's running for school committee in the 4th Ward for the City of Haverhill. Welcome to the program, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are in a very, very interesting position insofar as that you are running for the first time in school committee Ward 4 as a ward candidate. However, you are running unopposed, and this is your first time out. Wow. I mean, a lot of people would be very, very envious of that type of a position, but it's to your credit that you would not have to be here. You'd still be able to win that spot anyway. But I'm glad that you're here so you'll be able to go ahead and show the public and tell the public a little bit about yourself. Also knowing that while you represent specifically the people in Ward 4, you also have an impact and represent all of the people in the city of Haverhill, because your vote carries an equal weight with at-large candidates as well. So for whatever comes up before the school committee relative to policy in the school systems, what prompted you to want to run for school committee in Ward 4?
Well, I'm the mother of 3 children who have gone through the Haverhill public school system. And
how old are they?
They are 28, 25, and almost 21.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So
I was off by about a decade or so.
Thank you. Thank you. So they're, settled into their young adult lives. And so I have just a little bit more free time. And so I have been volunteering for different organizations and was just really looking for a way to do more, to give back more to the city. And the school department supported my kids, so I'm happy to
this is
them.
a very interesting thing because you've had your kids go through the school system. Some people that are running for office have their kids in the system at the time. You're able to give the benefit of your experience from what you have experienced with your kids at having gone through that, maybe with creating recommendations or modifications that you'd want to present because you learned this or understood this firsthand. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can look at it from a little bit of a different lens, being on the other side of things, and those that have done this with kids in school, kudos to them, because I don't know how they found the time.
Right. It's like sleep is optional for many parents. I've been there, done that. But if I could ask you, when you are going to be elected to the school committee in January, when you get swearing in ceremony, can you tell me one or two things that you would want to put forth before your colleagues for consideration of implementation?
Oh, I think there's a lot of challenges that we're facing in the coming years, and we really have limited resources. And I think that it's just important that we look at each issue that comes across the plate with an open mind and use great communication. It'll be important that we're creative in solutions. People are looking for an increase in wages, but also enhancement in programs. And I think we really need to just take a look at what the students' needs are and make sure that we're individualizing plans for them in creative ways.
You're one of the first candidates that's talked specifically, and others have as well, that talk specifically about the students, about what they need for the limited period of time that they happen to be in school, because they are only there for a limited period of time. There are different programs. I know that there's a counselor running for re-election right now that's trying to tout a benefit of a work type, a vocational program, or to increase the capability of people being able to get into the trades if they don't happen to get into the Whittier Tech, if they don't make that list. On the other hand, you have the exam schools that happen to be located in Haverhill High School, whether that be in math, history, or a whole number of different subjects, which is supposed to be on parallel and par with like the Boston Latin School. That's pretty impressive. The point is about being able to have as many people participate in those and get benefit from the education that they're in there for. Do you have any ideas as to how you'd like to? Anything that sometimes you come in from the outside, people are there and they all see the same thing. You haven't seen that same thing.
That's right.
Because you're coming in. Now, you're coming in and you're going to be seeing what they're seeing, but you're going to be seeing it differently, perhaps. Mm-hmm. Any recommendation that you'd have?
I think, I'm a nurse by trade, and everything that we do in nursing is patient-centered. We are always developing individualized care plans for our patients, and that sort of drives what we do. And I think that we need to look at students the same way, right? It is about the student. They're the base of everything that we're doing here. So I think it's important that we are looking at each student and making sure that there are resources and opportunities and a path forward for them for what they want out of their education and what they want as their path forward. So just making sure that we are engaging them and that we're developing that plan for them. And you're right, a lot of that is vocational schooling. It could be Classical Academy. It could be Greenleaf. There's so many different programs, and we just need to make sure that that students have access to those.
That is a very interesting parallel that you happen to bring up based upon your vocation. You're a nurse, and you have specialized healthcare plans for the individual patient, because one size does not fit all as far as patient care for them, and one size also does not fit all for students.
Right.
There are about 7 or 8 different methods of teaching, and there isn't enough funding to be able to employ all of those diverse methods necessarily for everybody, which is why they're moved to one basic sort of system. And it's oftentimes the students that have to adapt to that system, where they might even benefit from other methods of education that might be more amenable to what their skills are or what their interests happen to be. But it's a very interesting parallel that you happen to bring up between patient care and student care. You think that's been overly generalized or in the past, or just lacking?
I think that it does come down to resources, right? Our budget is what our budget is. So I think, in the coming years, especially with the concern being the budget, I think that we really need to take a hard look at where the money is going, and we can't have everything. So we need to make sure that we are pouring our resources into the places that are going to have the greatest impact for the greatest amount of students. So like you said, we can't teach 7 different ways in one classroom.
Right.
But perhaps we can have 4 different ways of teaching in different classrooms and make sure that the students are placed in the right place. Now, I can't tell you what the specifics of that look like because I'm not a teacher.
Right. But I'm just
but that's my vision.
I get it. It's pretty forward thinking with existing resources, and I get it. The couple of minutes that we have left, I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with any of the methods that they use in the charter schools in the city of Haverhill, like Silver Hill or things of that type? Because I know that those people, it's not that they are totally different, it's just they are allowed, if I understand correctly, to sort of go off the reservation a bit, to be creative and implement plans that are more attuned to those students. If you see what they do and what their end result is, are those employable to the rest of the school system?
Perhaps. I think that thought process is where we need to be. Like I said, looking at each individual student and developing what their plan looks like, and determining which school or which classroom or which program is going to work best with what is available for each student. So definitely, I think it's that forward-thinking mindset of we can't fit every student in a box. Sometimes the boxes need to look a little bit different, and we need to choose which boxes are going to fit the most amount of students.
Do you think, we've only got about 30 seconds left, and the question is, City of Haverhill has had North Point Bible College, or in Bradford as a college. We've got Northern Essex Community College. We had a satellite campus of University of Massachusetts here as well. Do you think having those colleges here and maybe having the new economic development director invite maybe 1 or 2 more colleges to come within the confines of the city, we could be the city that's known for education?
Absolutely. That's a possibility. I think when there are universities or colleges local, students look to those as an option and want to see what the path is towards there. I know you're watching the clock,
okay.
but
Also,
I am a Northern Essex graduate myself. So
that's good to know. But I'm also figuring that also could be inspiring too, by having that type of close proximity. No,
that's right. Absolutely.
Mandel Basilier running for school committee in Ward 4, yes. And I think you'll make it. I think you'll get the votes for that. Thanks very much for appearing here today.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. We hope that these interviews have been a point of reference for you in the upcoming elections. And until next time, my name is Frank Novak, and thanks very much for watching. And remember to vote Tuesday, November 4th, because if you don't vote, then you won't count, and everyone should count.